barely made the show in time. I'm Tarek Patel.
That's a dramatic entrance into the program. I'm Randy Rosenblum, and this is SoCal Prep Report. Lots of basketball to talk about today in regards to the Prepsters. Also some football news, but I'm really concerned about my cohort, Tarek Patel. He's obviously not here. He's remote, and he barely got into the picture. He was out of breath. Tarek, are you okay?
I think I'm going to make it, Randy. I think I'm going to make it, but I got a lot going on this week, as you well know. Basketball playoffs. My family's come down with a sickness. My little one's got a cold. I'm getting over a cold. You can tell by my raspy voice. But hoops always makes me feel better. So we're going to make it. We're going to make it. We're going to be okay.
And the Open Division always makes you feel a little bit better. We're going to go through 2 rounds with the Open Division. Since last week we were on before they played the quarterfinals, and since they played the quarterfinals in the semis. So we'll start with the quarterfinal scores, and we'll start with the first team being La Mirada. Now, La Mirada was the 12th seed, and they stunned Redondo Union in the quarterfinals 73-70. They have a tremendous player in Gene Roebuck, and he was on display for Redondo Union, against Redondo Union.
A great game, and really something that I don't think anyone saw coming, Randy. I mean, to think that La Mirada was going to go on the road and beat Redondo Union, no one would have seen that coming, and kudos to Randy Ornios and his tough La Mirada team. Well deserved. And I think, I don't want to prognosticate too much or get ahead of ourselves, but when you beat St. John Bosco and Redondo Union in back-to-back playoff games, there starts to become a belief within your team that maybe you are that good, and that can become dangerous. And that's why I think they made the semifinals.
Obviously, La Mirada is very good, tremendous year, and a big win at Redondo Union. And as Tarek said, they also won on the road at St. John Bosco. So they're into the semifinals. How about Harvard Westlake? The Wolverines continue to play solid basketball. Tarek, this isn't one of Rabibo's great teams, but they have Joe Sterling. He had about 15 in this one. They get by a league rival and a pesky Crespi team. It's a nice win, but not an easy victory.
Yeah, I think I've said it publicly. I do think this is David Rabibo's best coaching job. They're a 25-win team, and this is a team that has deficiencies. I mean, it just does. They don't have the Trent Perry, and Nick Hamenia, and Isaiah Carroll, Jacob Huggins. I mean, I can go down the list of really Brady Dunlap, teams where they won at high levels or got really close to it. They had like juggernaut dudes and then great role players. This team has Joe Sterling, a juggernaut dude, but he's just one juggernaut dude. Then there's role players, and you don't know who's going to show up, but they do know someone is. You just don't know when or how. And so David Rabibo has orchestrated this fantastic season on a roster that, in my opinion, simply just isn't as good as years past. That doesn't mean they're bad players. I don't want everyone to get all offended by it. It's just the truth. I think he's doing his best coaching job.
Sierra Canyon's the deepest team, probably the most talented squad. And to me, I don't know if the story in this quarterfinal matchup was how good Sierra Canyon is opposed to where Santa Margarita finishes. A very poor performance by a Santa Margarita team that early on looked like a real threat to win it all.
No question. I mean, I think everyone, including some of the pundits that have been around a long time, had Santa Margarita and Sierra Canyon in their top 3 all year long. And then for this, 23-point blowout to ensue, for Santa Margarita, it was in Chatsworth, so Sierra Canyon was at home. Right. But, yeah, no one expected it to be that lopsided. And sometimes that's just basketball. I mean, sometimes that's just basketball. Someone's feeling it, someone's not. There's so many different things happening in the course of a game, especially one where there's a lot of pressure. And so clearly Santa Margarita felt that. They'll be fine. They got more basketball to play in the state playoffs, but a lopsided result that I think nobody saw coming.
Notre Dame has a terrific program. Navarro Bowman has really stepped up this year. And this is an impressive win over Corona Centennial, who is a very solid team. Not an easy win for the Knights, but they got by 59-56.
Yeah, Corona Centennial's a high pedigree team, maybe one of the more recent blue bloods of high school basketball in Southern California. Remember, don't forget Donovan Dent, Jared McCain, Aaron McBride. I mean, they've had some other really good players, and they've won Open Division championships before. So now they have Isaiah Rogers and a couple other nice players. Not an easy out. They come to Notre Dame Sherman Oaks and give the Knights all they can handle. But like you said, Navarro Bowman, Zach White, Josiah Nance, they were able to pull through.
And you're right about Isaiah Rogers. He's really one of the great players in SoCal. We don't talk a lot about him being out at Corona Centennial, but he does get you a lot of points night in and night out. All right, that takes us into the semifinals. First semifinal, Harvard-Westlake La Mirada. This was played Tuesday night. And again, for a half, La Mirada was as good or better than the Wolverines, but a huge third quarter for Harvard-Westlake propelled them to a fairly comfortable win.
So this was where I was last night. La Mirada had a 36-34 lead at halftime, and Gina Roebuck couldn't be stopped. Cisco Munoz was hitting threes. I mean, it was Munoz, was hitting threes. I mean, really, really good basketball being played. And they were able to limit some of the things Harvard Westlake wanted to do. But then Joe Sterling turned it on. He, one of the fun, cute little stories of last night was his shoe basically came apart in the second quarter with about a minute to go. So he had to come out, and he didn't come back in. They just waited till halftime. He comes out in the second half in new shoes, and they just lit it up from three. I think he had 2 or 3 threes just in that third quarter alone. They outscored La Mirada 22-7, and that was all she wrote. There were 7 lead changes in the first half and 1 lead change in the second half, and that was it.
Yeah, Joe Sterling ended up with 5 threes, 5 triples in the game, and the Wolverines win it comfortably, as I said. They'll play Sierra Canyon in the championship game after, again, the Trailblazers flexed their muscles, beating Notre Dame Sherman Oaks big time. This is an impressive performance.
It is. The first time they played, I believe it was a very, very narrow margin. It was on ESPN2. It was like a late tip. The whole thing. It was a great game. This is another similar score to Santa Margarita. This is a 24-point deficit. I think the Santa Margarita one we just saw was, 23 points. So, yeah, for Sierra Canyon to put it on these good teams and pull away and where the other teams simply don't have an answer tells you that they're rolling at the right time, and they're going to be a heavy favorite in the final.
Well, that sets up the championship match. Can Rabibo work his magic and some way, somehow shut down that Sierra Canyon roller coaster, which seems to be rolling to a title?
Yeah, I don't, listen, you cannot put it past David Rabibo and Harvard Westlake. He's going to lock those kids in a gym, and they are going to be absolutely prepared, and they're going to give Sierra Canyon everything they got. But Sierra Canyon just has the horses, man. They are just loaded, as you alluded to earlier in the show. Brandon McCoy, Maxie Adams, that's 2 McDonald's All-Americans right there, and the list goes on of talent. This is a one-loss team. They lost to Bishop McNamara in Maryland. That is Sierra Canyon I'm talking about. It's a nationally ranked team, and they lost by a narrow margin 3,000 miles away from home. So if that game probably gets played in California, Sierra Canyon doesn't lose. So, yeah, I just think all signs point to the Trailblazers being back on top.
Let's turn our attention to CIF Southern Section D1 semifinal action. Crean Lutheran, the number 1 seeded team, against a good Rancho Christian squad. This wasn't a surprise. They got a guy there in Kaplan who's really good, Hunter Kaplan. He scored 25 points for Crean Lutheran. Made it a little easier for his basketball team, didn't it?
Yes. Hunter Kaplan is really this crafty, fun. I don't know if you remember like a Dusty Stromer at Notre Dame Sherman Oaks. He kind of reminds me of that now. He's not quite as tall and athletic, but his ability to shoot fast, and create for himself is similar to Dusty Stromer. And they kind of have that long, wiry build. So for those out there that were familiar with Dusty Stromer, that's kind of what Hunter Kaplan is. And he's only a junior, so he's got another year. Crean Lutheran's a really, really good team. And I don't know if they're the favorite, but they certainly have a great chance to win the Division I championship.
Yeah, they were a fringe open squad, dropping down to
Correct.
D1. Made Crean the number 1 seed there. How about Jay Sarah over Inglewood? Everyone knows about Jason Crow Jr., held under 40. He had about 37, I think, in this one. Not quite enough. Still scored a lot of points. But obviously, Jay Sarah out of the Trinity League is really good.
Yeah, this is, I think I want to say I called it last week or we talked. The buck stopped with Jay Sarah. I just think that Inglewood team, as talented as they are, now there was some controversy in that game, but it was early on in the game. Jay Sarah played about 2 or 3 up and downs per se, maybe 2 or 3 possessions, I guess is the correct word, with 6 guys on the floor. But there was a little bit of a swing there, about 7 or 8 point swing, which you could argue makes a difference. But even Jason Crow, the coach, said that wasn't why they lost the game. So, kudos to him for being mature about that and being a pro. But yeah, Inglewood, I just think they ran into a Jay Sarah team that was locked and loaded and prepared for their helter-skelter game style.
I don't know how that happens. I can see if they're on the court for seconds, but to go up and down the floor with 6, I don't know how the officials missed that. Tarek, that was surprising to the officials, and I watched the video, didn't detect that quicker.
Yeah, I mean, it was like inbounds, play with 6, have a possession, missed a shot. Inglewood runs down the floor, plays defense. Jay Sarah comes back again, and by that time, a player had snuck off the court. But you're talking about a couple up and downs, and no one knew there was. And to me, I'm with you. I mean, we watched enough basketball, Randy, where it sounds like something that, to me, if I look out on the floor, it's very obvious to me that there's a 6th player. It just, what 10 guys on the floor looks like. You've seen it your whole life. So it was very odd that officials didn't get that. Very odd.
Who do you like in the final? Should be an intriguing matchup with this Jay Sarah team. And again, they're talented and they score a lot of points, so they can match up with Crean Lutheran. Should be a really good game.
Yeah, that is a total pick-em game. I'm going with I think my heart is pulling for Crean, but I think Jay Sarah is the team that's going to win that game. I think they got great point guard play in Jaden Bales. And they've got God's Choice, who is a defensive end football player with more than 20 offers, who physically dominates anybody he comes close to down there. And he's got shoulders about this wide. So the combo of that defense, Coach Keith Wilkinson with a game plan, I think the Lions will win that game.
I'm going to give you some credit here as we go to D2. You said Mater Dei, even though they had dropped down to D2 and they had impressive wins early in the tournament in D2, could get knocked out. They go to Hesperia, and this cat went off. Nolan Newman Gomez. 17 consecutive points to start it, and Tarek looked like a genius. Mater Dei eliminated in the semis by Hesperia. That was dramatic stuff for Hesperia.
Yeah, I believe it's Nolan Newman Gomez is the player. 24 points, 11 rebounds, 5 threes, and he scored the team's first 17 points. Mater Dei couldn't stop him. And look, I hate to do this. I really do. But everybody out there, I told you so. Everyone wants to be such a victim of the moment, and you look at the body of work over a year. Everyone thought Mater Dei being in D2 was like some sham. They're going to boat race everybody. And it looked like that early. There were a ton of other lopsided round 1, round 2 scores too, all the way down to Division 9. Does that mean that they shouldn't have belonged? No. But everyone looks at Mater Dei and says, no, they don't deserve to be this. They don't deserve to be that. This team wasn't that good. Gary McKnight will tell you. It's just not that good of a team. They go to Hesperia and they lose. That's it. So I was somewhat justified in telling people, guys, it's going to work out. There's going to be parity. We're going to see good competitive games, And that's what we saw in the Open with La Mirada knocking off Redondo Union and in Division 2. Now, Division 1 chalked out, but I think everyone saw that coming. Division 2, little different story.
Okay, so Bishop Amat knocks off Roosevelt by a comfortable margin, and that sets up the final. There's the score, 65-51. So in D2, it's Amat and Hesperia. I don't know that a lot of people thought that would happen. Who do you like there?
Yeah, I'm going to give the edge to Bishop Amat. Again, I think about high school basketball, and you have to have good guard play. And Aiden Shaw is a sophomore who we're going to talk about a lot these next couple years. When he becomes a junior, he's like a legit kind of like prospect. He's like 6'3", maybe 6'2", good length, can play the guard position, does a little bit of everything. He's going to have a great summer, and people are going to know more about him. Bishop Amat, I think, has the edge in that game.
All right, to D3, Murrieta Mesa over Warren. They won the game by 7 points, so the Bears are out. And they'll take on Elisa Nigel, which knocked off Gar in a really hard-fought game. So that brings up the championship game in D3. Elisa Niguel and Murrieta Mesa. I don't know a whole lot about those teams. Tarek, I know basketball is your forte. Your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't know much about those programs at all, really. I couldn't tell you one player, just being honest. Not going to try and fake you out here. But I will say, when it comes to the CIF championship, you can't just be happy to be there. I've said that before. When I got to take something and be vanilla with it, this is what I say. You cannot just be happy to be in a CIF final and kind of let the chips. You have to be the aggressor. And you have to know that this could be the only time in your program's history, or if you're a player, might be the only time you ever play in a championship game. You got to be the aggressor. Don't just be happy to be there.
Last division we want to talk about is D4 on the southern section side. A really nice win for Norte Vista over Trabuco Hills. In the game I was at the Colony Shalhevet game. It was a close game, at one point going into the fourth quarter, and give Colony credit. They went down on a lockdown mode, forced turnovers, and Shalhevet turned it over and got beat. This was a very nice Colony team after a long ride from Ontario to win at Shalhevet.
Yeah, Colony's on a nice run. Again, these are two programs I'm not too familiar with, but I would say, the big public school probably has a slight edge in this game. Colony, was coached by, now Assistant Commissioner Jerry DeFabius for a long time. There's some basketball pedigree there. There's an element of their DNA that feels like they probably belong in that game.
Yeah, Tony Davis, the Colony coach, is really good. Really has his X's and O's down. He's got his team playing. Fendi Thomas
was he the former coach at Servite?
He was at Servite for a while.
Yeah, okay. So I know who Tony Davis is. Oh, yeah, that makes me even feel like even better about Colony probably winning that game.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. And really a nice performance by his team on the road, winning in the fourth quarter. All right, let's turn our attention to the LA City section semifinals. Here, chalk really prevailed. Palisades over San Pedro. Pally's the favored team there. They have a freshman guard that's really lighting it up. And I know, Tarek, I'll let you talk about him because Reed had, 29 in this game?
Yeah, Phil Reed, I think he's one of those super, super talented freshmen that you're wondering if he's going to stay there for all 4 years, So, the Will Conroy Jr.'s at Village Christian, Philip Reed at Palisades. There's a freshman at Milliken, Long Beach Milliken. Are these guys there's a freshman at St. Gabriel Academy. Are these guys going to stick around, or are they going to get poached by other programs? That's how good these players are.
Cleveland over Fairfax in the other city semifinal. They're all the way down to the semis since they only started with 8 in the open division of the LA City section. And for me, this is troubling for Cleveland, even though they won it. I know you're not high on Fairfax, but the Lions took them into overtime and easily could have won this game. Give Cleveland credit. They got through. Now Cleveland's going to take on Palisades. And obviously, to me, and I know they're 1 and 2 in the seedings, Pally has to be a substantial favorite here.
Yeah, they are. I mean, listen, I talked with Dagam Aswa yesterday. He's the Cleveland coach, and yeah, he knows they're in for it, man. But they've got Charlie Adams, who's been playing really, really good for Cleveland. I mean, we're talking averaging, I think, anywhere between 20 and 25 points the last handful of games. So they've got a player playing the right ball and leading them to what is a CIF city championship in the open division. Looking, it's one game. Again, like I mentioned, one good game for one team, one bad game for another, and you get a surprise. So is it possible? Sure. But I do think Palisades has a little too much firepower.
We'll go through some of these other divisions quickly here in the city. D1, Chatsworth over Venice. Very good game. Went into overtime. Chatsworth won it by 2. Granada Hills over L.A. Jordan. The city D1 final has Granada Hills and Chatsworth. A couple West Valley League rivals there, Dark.
Yeah, familiar foes. It's not quite open division with Sierra Canyon and Harvard Westlake.
No, it
two
isn't.
Mission League teams going at it, but hey, why not? I think there is an element of familiar faces, familiar programs going at it for a championship. I think that kind of makes it fun. I don't know how these two teams did in league play. Maybe they split. Maybe a team won 2-0. I don't know if you know that, Randy, but either way, what I'm trying to get at is it all goes out the window, right? You're going to know the other team, but the stakes are higher than ever. That's what makes it fun.
D2, King Drew over Bravo, big. King Drew was the number 1 seed. Bravo was the number 1 seed, and King Drew took out the number 1 seed. So that's a great win for them. They'll play Sylmar, who knocked off Marquez. course, Bort Escoto, our friend, been there for a zillion years, over 30 years at Sylmar with the Spartans. That should be a good one with King Drew coming off the big win over Bravo against Sylmar. Let's turn our attention to the girls' CIF Southern Section games. We'll start with the semifinals here. Those were Tuesday night. We had Ontario Christian over Sage Hill. That was an impressive victory. Sage Hill had won 22 in a row, Tarek. That's a nice win for Ontario Christian, who looks like the team to beat.
They are. I mean, look, when you're the number one team in the land, it almost doesn't matter who's coming your way. You know you're going to get their best shot, but Sage Hill, again, just not enough horses. Kalina Smith, Tatiana Griffin for Ontario Christian. They've been there, done that. You know, this is a team that knows how to win ball games. So, tough uphill climb for Sage Hill. You know, they'll go on to the state playoffs. They'll be fine. But Ontario Christian, 86 points, girls basketball. That's a lot of points, man.
Yeah,
really,
Kalina
even
Smith.
Even for boys. Like, it doesn't matter. That's just a lot of points.
Yeah, Kalina Smith averages, 32 and a half a game?
32 game. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's really playing tremendous basketball. The other semifinal game in the Southern Section, and this is a really nice performance by Sierra Canyon, winning at Etiwanda. They opened up a huge lead here. Jersey Robinson, another huge game, the All-American for Sierra Canyon, and they win it 66-62. This is impressive.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I think they had to do it on the road, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so to go on the road in the house of Standaluse and get a 4-point win, is really impressive. And Jersey Robinson, I think there's something motivating her through this postseason. She's now the program's all-time leading scorer above Juju Watkins. Like, she's trying to carve out her own legacy, and I think that's fueling her. So I would expect Jersey Robinson to have like a 30-point game in the final.
I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. That Ontario Christian team is really good.
You could be right. You could be right.
You're right. Jersey's going to score. She's too good not to, but the favor there is Ontario Christian, the top seed. In the LA City section, open girls semifinals, Birmingham boat raced Hamilton. That surprised me. Hamilton earlier in the year had a win over Westchester. Great win for the Pats there. They look very, very good. They'll play Westchester in the championship game, which had an easy and expected victory over Venice. Birmingham-Westchester should be interesting for the ladies.
Yeah, I think we called that one. It wasn't exactly a hot take, but I think we knew those two teams would clash. I'm going to give the edge to Birmingham. I think it's going to be their year.
All right, let's get to point counterpoint. Basketball. In college basketball, they play 40 minutes. At the high school level, they play 32. Should we expand the quarters to 10 minutes in prep hoops and give them the same 40-minute time that they have at the college level? Tarek, your take.
I really like the format right now. 4 quarters, 8 minutes, clock stoppages, so on and so forth. I think there are levels, right? It's okay that the high school game is different from the college game, and that the college game is different from the pro game. As you alluded to. So high school, it's 32, college, it's 40, and in the NBA, it's 48 minutes. So I got no problems with it. You'd be surprised if you go talk to a college coach that's coached in high school. Like, for example, quick story, Russell White, right? Was at Crespi for a long time. Now he's at Cal Lutheran. He told me his first year, he could feel those extra 8 minutes in college. Like, he thought the games lasted forever. So there is a difference. I like the high school the way it is right now.
I disagree with you on this one. I'd like to see expansion. These young men are playing tons of basketball now, so I like to see them go to 10 quarters. They can physically handle it. Also for the fans, the prep game is about an hour and 15 or an hour and 20 minutes. So I want to see a longer game, especially if you're driving a long distance. If you're a fan coming in from a Riverside to see a game here in Los Angeles, you don't want an hour and 15 event. You want to enjoy an hour 45, hour 50 game, maybe even 2 hours, and enjoy your experience. I don't think the game's long enough, and I think the kids can handle it. I want to see them go to 10-minute quarters. That's point counterpoint. Tarek, there was a great softball game. Norco knocked off Olu 2-1, not a surprise. Norco is the top team around. They won the CIF championship last year. And in baseball, I know you have your top 10 out, and I'll quickly go over St. John Bosco number 1, followed by Oulu, Huntington Beach, Harvard Westlake, Corona Norco, J. Sarah, La Mirada, Mater Dei, and Sierra Canyon.
Yeah, Sierra Canyon actually knocked off Huntington Beach in a comeback victory a couple days ago. So I think that was on Tuesday. So kudos to the Trailblazers, and Tom Musborn. Huntington Beach has a great arm, and they were up 2-0, and then Sierra Canyon stormed back, and I think won 6-2. But St. John Bosco is going to be the number 1 team in the land for just about every ranking out there because they return the main core of their Division I championship team from last year. That's going to help them, but as we know, in high school baseball playoffs, oh my gosh, it is a crapshoot to win in the playoffs. There's no series. It's a winner-go-home situation, though that could change down the line. So any of these teams could be the Division I champion.
Yeah, one good pitching performance could knock out a top seed. So that's always dangerous there. Told you there'd be some football news. How about that great receiver at Palisades, DeZern? I call him DeRozan because he's like the basketball. It's what, DeMar DeZern. He's a track star. He's transferring from Palisades to Westlake. No shock there, right, Tarek?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but everyone knew he was on the move. So he was at Alamany, then he was at Palisades, now he's going to Westlake. So I think this is a kid, I hate to say, this is a kid with like some type of handler or, powers that be, influence where this kid's going to play basketball. He's going to get moved. There'll be a valid change of residence. He'll be eligible, the whole kit and caboodle, and he's going to help Coach Clausen.
Patrick Goodpaster. Do you know the name? He's the new head football coach at Narbonne. He takes over for Doug Bledsoe, who was 0-10 for the Gauchos last year, really a down year in transition after violations. Goodpaster played there at Narbonne, later played at Colorado State, lineman, big physical guy. So it's a Goodpaster that's taken over the Narbonne program. Maybe appropriately named, right, Tarek? They need a Goodpaster.
Amen. And all God's people said, right? You like that? You like that? No,
that is
I don't
a good
know.
Comeback line.
I don't know the gentleman personally, but look, I do have something to say about this. Look at what Carson Palmer did at Santa Margarita. What I like about the hire is it's someone that went to Narbonne. So there's a care for the school, a care for the student, a care for the athlete, a care for the community that just gives that little extra edge. It's not just a job for this guy. And I think that small edge might have made the difference for Carson Palmer at Santa Margarita because he went there.
I watched your Fatal Factor show Monday night, and you and your counterpart on the program talked about Raul Lara, the coach at Mater Dei, and some rumors swirling that even though he's had 2 successful years, 1 state championship, he may leave Mater Dei. I was confused by the belief that he might leave Mater Dei. I don't know.
Yeah, there were rumors for a little bit this week that he's expected to step down this week. He could be on the up and out. I think that's all bogus. I don't think he's going anywhere. I do know and hear that there are higher ups, people of influence, boosters connected to the program and the school that are a little that are unhappy with Coach Raul Lara and maybe the performance of the team or the way he does things. So I do think he is on a short leash, unfortunately, because I do like Coach Lara. I think he's disciplined. I think he's doing it for the right reasons. But there are clearly some things that the powers that be aren't in favor of when it comes to him. So I think, unfortunately, if he has another 2 or 3 loss season, Randy, he might be out.
That would surprise me. He's been great for so long. He was great at Long Beach Poly, won 5 CIF titles for the Poly Parrots. For the Jackrabbits, we have all these Poly teams. For the Jackrabbits of Long Beach Poly, he was just tremendous. His first year at Mater Dei, they win the state title, the CIF title. So that would shock me. One last ad, Robert Woods, former great player at Sarah, had a long NFL career, joining the staff for the Rams. He's going to try to get it done with the wide receivers. It's a little bit easier when you have Devontae Adams and Puka on your side. So that'll be good to see. The young man from Sarah who was great there when he led him to a state title back in 2009. Tarek, it was a quick half hour. I think we'll enjoy the championships this weekend, right?
Have a good one.
He's out. He just rolls out. No paper throwing today for Tarek Fatal. Just a roll in and a roll out and we're going to be out. Show's over. A quick half hour. Enjoy the championships, everybody. It's the pinnacle in high school basketball in Southern California this weekend. For Tarek and he's back. For Tarek and our entire LA 36 crew, I'm Randy Rosenblum. So long for now. Goodbye, Tarek.